Hello and welcome to another episode of Motors for the Masses, and today we have another bullet. So let's roll the intro and get cracking.
I've been a real bad boy on the town all night. Starting to calm down with the morning light down in the dirt.
Now, as you know, we've had the BULLIT Bluroc 125 for quite some time, and due to the COVID-19 outbreak, we haven't done a review on it. Well, we don't know how long this is going to last. So we are going to do a review now, and we're going to do some tests rather than take it out on the road. So let's get started. You may have had, or at least remember, or even perhaps still have, the BULLIT Hunt S. Well, this was designed to be its replacement. It uses the Suzuki GS or GN 125 based engine, 124 cc's with 11.8 brake horsepower and 7.4 pounds-foot of torque. It's four-stroke, it's air-cooled, and of course Euro 4 compatible with a top speed of around 60-65 miles an hour. MPG is over 100, and the CO2 is irrelevant really, because it doesn't do anything to the taxation class. So you pay £20 a year tax on a 125, that's it. So the CO2 is basically, if you care about green stuff, well, it's going to be pretty good. That's all I can say. All they seem to do now is knock out the NOx figures and not the CO2 figures, unless of course you're getting up to the bigger CCs. It uses It uses right way up forks on the front and twin shocks on the back, and I'll talk you through a little bit more about those. It has dual rate shocks, and according to BULLIT, that means you get two springs, which we can see here, one on the inside and one on the outside. Now, according to BULLIT, that means you get a smoother ride at lower speeds and a smooth ride at higher speeds. Dual rated shock, you see. When we first got this bike, we thought, oh, there's no dampening because it's really solid. But when you're riding it, it's actually very comfortable. Using the combined brake system, you get a 300mm front disc with a triple piston caliper and a 220mm rear disc with a single piston caliper. All pretty standard, to be honest. You get a 110 tyre on the front and a 130 on the rear, using these semi-knobbly tyres by Yuanxing. You get a nice all-digital dash, and this you'd think would be difficult to see in the glaring sun, but actually it's not bad at all. And we're going to move it to be in the sun and have a proper look. Right, the bike is now with the back turned to the sun, and oh, actually no, you can see really well. That is really impressive. Usually you see these digital dashes and you can't see anything, but that is very clear. Well done, BULLIT. The switch gears are pretty generic, nothing special. You've got decent enough switches. They click and clunk as they should do. They don't feel overly expensive, but they don't feel cheap either. They do what they're supposed to do. You also get hazard flashes, which you don't get on a lot of bikes. And of course your horn and your lights and your passing on here, and of course your start on here. And I do like these grips. They're a nice firm grip. They don't feel cheap. Actually quite impressive. I do like them. The lights are very similar to the Bluroc 250. You've got LED disguised as a standard light in here, and you've got the standard bulb indicators, left, very bright, and right, and of course the hazard flashes. And on the front you've got the DRL around the outside of this traditional looking halogen light in there, and of course the indicators are just as bright on the front. Now at this stage I want to draw your attention to not only the nice shape of the tank, but this lovely pearl yellow over black, or black over yellowy gold finish. That's a lovely finish, nice sparkly pearlescent metallic yellowy goldy stuff, which means it looks a lot more expensive than it is. But we'll come on to the price in a little while. Right then, let's have a listen and then start our tests. Test 1, the slalom. Test 2, the figure of 8. Test 3, the riding over some pallets via 2 ramps unnecessarily. So then, how does it ride? Well, it rides really nicely, actually. Initially, I thought narrow handlebars, perhaps it's going to be a bit awkward and cumbersome, but no, it's not. As you can see on that first test and the second test with the slalom and the figure of 8, it's very easy to maneuver. It's light, it's nimble, the tyres aren't really an issue. Now I know we haven't done a long test and I apologise for that, but you know the reasons why. We can't really take it out on the road at the moment. But they don't feel knobbly, there's no little judders or anything like that. It actually feels quite nice to ride. It's smooth, the dash is easy to read, the brakes are fantastic, really sharp, and bearing in mind these are brand new and haven't been worn in yet, they're actually quite impressive. Now some people don't like these little tubs, but I like that. I think you can see what's going on quite easily. I certainly had no problems whatsoever. The seat is quite comfortable, and the suspension, as I say, it feels as firm as it needs to be. When I was doing that last test over the ramp, didn't feel like it was going to smack me up the arse. It felt fine, to be honest, absolutely fine. Dimensions wise, it's all pretty standard. You've got 1.9 metre length, 750 millimetres wide, which is not that wide, but just right, I think. Now, when I first rode it, I did think, does it feel a bit narrow? But the more you get used to it, the more it feels fine, to be honest. It's not really a problem at all. We've got a 1.2 metre height and a 790 millimetre seat height. So it appears we've been joined by a number of seagulls who have plenty to say about this. But what do I have to say? Well, there are other bikes in this class, of course, quite a few. A few to highlight is the AJS Tempest Scrambler, which comes to you at £2,349 on the road. Now, what I like about that is the big tank and the oval. I do like the oval on the side. However, a lot of people have commented on the pictures we posted about this and the little introduction we did that they prefer the side panels and don't like the oval. So it's a personal choice. Others in this range, you've got the Mutt Super 6, which is the new bike out from Mutt. Very similar in specification, design and everything else, but that is £3,500. The earlier one, the Mutt Mongol, which has been around since the beginning of time, is still £3,000. You've got the predecessor to this, the Bullet Hunt S. Now that one still comes in at £2,299. And I know what some of you are going to say. You could go for the Lexmoto Valiant, which is only £1,600. But I don't think that looks anywhere near as good as this. It's got a very basic design. It's got a bit of a weird design. It's got a small tank. It's got some kind of weird humped seat, or you could go for the Brat style seat, but it just looks a lot cheaper and doesn't look anywhere near as pretty or well built as the Bullitt. So how much is this Bullitt? Well, it comes to you at £2,099 on the road. So that's just under £2,100 on the road with a 2-year parts and labour warranty. And I think that's a fantastic price. I really don't think you can knock that or beat it with anything else at the moment. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comment section below what you think is a better bike, and don't start talking about the Chinese thing because we've done that to death. So that's all that we have time for this episode. We hope you've enjoyed it. Sorry we couldn't bring you on the road test, but as I said, coronavirus and all that. And on that note, we do hope that you are all keeping safe and that you're staying at home and not putting anyone else, especially the NHS, at risk. Thank you very much for joining us. Please tune in next time when we'll be back with more bikes. We'll be back on the NTV and other stuff as well. We'll be starting on the Escort, and there's lots of stuff arriving for that. And of course, we'll be back on Mac and other stuff. And of course, we'll be back on Bob when I can get Malcolm over here. So that's all for me. Thank you very much for joining us. Please stay safe. Please ride carefully if you are an essential worker. And until next time, please ride and drive carefully, or walk and wipe carefully, but have fun. Bye-bye.